Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. Good
Awesome.
afternoon.
It's such a blessing to have you on our show, Miss Rosanne. Miss Smith, is it a Miss, Mrs.? I want to make sure I address you
Yes,
correctly.
Mrs. and Doctor.
Okay, well, I'll say Dr. Smith. You heard me. We go Dr. Smith, Dr. Smith. Um, it's such a blessing to, like I said, for you to agree to be on the talk show today. It is Women in Ag Wednesday talk show that we do every Wednesday. We try to. Sometimes we have to go to Tammy Tuesdays, and depends on where we are in the country. But more than likely, we will have it on a Wednesday. We started the show, and I did because I wanted to do a different form of outreach. Usually the outreach that you see dealing with USDA federal or state programs, it's you set up a table, the tablecloth, all the material, you get the speakers, and it's just kind of the run of the mill. And we saw that people were just, a lot of us are doing the same thing, if you will, bringing the same message. So we wanted to deliver the message a little different, get a little bit more intimate as far as making sure the government and the people see the leaders that be, if you will, Ms. Dr. Smith, is to make sure they understand the help that is needed if they want to see change. Now, some say they want to see change. When I say some, those are the ones who are there just basically drawing a check and trying to just go through the motions. Luckily, we don't work with those people, like I don't, for our organization. We are blessed to have higher leadership and people in the right places that believe in minority women, farmers, or women in agriculture of all nationalities, but specifically the minority woman in agriculture, because we have been ignored, we have been pushed back, held back. But at the same time, we're the ones that actually, literally and figuratively, that are now developing new farmers, minority
Okay.
farmers.
Okay.
I mean, we're
hmm
women, we have
hmm
babies. Now we're women that's having babies with degrees, that we have our degrees to educate our children to become agriculture leaders. And by doing that, that's why I have you here as our expert to tell us all about yourself. Go ahead and give us your full name, your title, where you're from, what you do. This is your show.
Okay.
Again, thank you.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I am Rosanne Smith. I am not a farmer.
Okay.
I am a person who grew up in Chicago on the south side in the city.
Okay.
And there were people who had farms somewhere or had come from farms, and they did do a lot of gardening there, but I didn't pay that much attention. I grew up in Chicago. I went to Howard University and majored in psychology at first, but then chemistry.
Hmm.
And so that is really my background, chemistry and engineering. I got a master's degree in chemistry from University of California, Irvine,
Hmm.
and then came and got a master's degree in materials engineering from George Washington University through a program in Virginia at Langley Research Center. And after doing that program, I came to Oak Ridge to work at the Y12 manufacturing plant. And that is what I did. I and eventually went to University of Tennessee to get a PhD in materials engineering. And I worked for 32 years in manufacturing in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and retired in 2014. So 2016 came along and I took a master gardening class.
Okay.
And I took it just to learn. I had never really done gardening. Um, I'd done hard sciences, not biology, science. Um, and so this was a new thing for me just to learn what to do in my own yard because I was retired and had a large yard that used to have a swimming pool, but we got rid of the pool and there's this big plot of land. So I wanted to learn what to do with it. And in joining Master Gardeners, I found out that this is really a community education program.
Mhm.
And it's based on our taking what we learned in the Master Gardener training, which is, I guess it's about a 3-month training program. and covers all aspects of gardening, all the way from landscaping, specific plants, learning how to treat your soil, learning about water in your garden, but also in the environment. And you learn a lot about how gardening does impact the environment. And then since then, I've worked on a lot of projects in master gardening. We have a lot of ways that we try to reach the community through education. We're at the farmers markets answering questions for home gardeners. We have camping programs with youth for youth education. And then we have a number of food gardens that grow food, and we work with the gardens to grow food and distribute it to the community. So Knox County Master Gardeners is where I got my training, and I've served as the secretary and the vice president, and now I'm the president of Knox County Master Gardeners.
Awesome. Look at
Yes.
you. Knox County Knox County
Master Gardeners.
Master Gardeners.
Yes.
That is phenomenal. So do you do any online training? Because we would love to connect.
Well, when COVID came, we did do intern training in person, and we also have a project called Speakers Bureau, where we go to libraries and other places where there is a request and do specific presentations on gardening topics. So then COVID came along and kind of wiped that out. And so we eventually moved all of the intern training to be online.
Okay.
And in fact, this year we did partially online and partially in person, because we do like to do hands-on activities and demonstrations, and have the students actually meet each other, and master gardeners like to interact with each other also. So we do training online, but it's for interns. Now, in terms of the community, we have a Facebook page called Gardening Tips Live, and that's an area where people can go and get answers to questions. They can input questions on Facebook and get responses. We also have a phone line that people can call and leave a message with their gardening question, and then a master gardener will return the call and get back with them to answer the questions.
I love it. That is phenomenal. So are you all up under TSU or?
We are, and all the master gardeners, I'm sorry, I'm thirsty now.
No, I have to have it on.
All the master gardeners are under the auspices of university extensions.
Okay.
So there are land grant universities, and so they had funding to provide outreach, research-based scientific outreach to the ag industry, to farmers.
Right.
And eventually they decided, okay, all of our research is kind of going to these large concerns, but what about smaller farmers and people who have their own gardens?
Right.
So that is how the Master Gardener program became a thing. Our mission is to take research-based information and disseminate it to the public, to the everyday gardener, if you will.
Okay.
And so we are under the University of Tennessee and Tennessee State University Ag, Department of Agriculture.
Okay. So you are under the land grant Tennessee University umbrella.
Yes.
As a community, which is an excellent idea. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's real innovative in a way that you are, again, reaching the public or the community to assist them with growing their food or, growing food, of course, for the health reason with entrepreneurship skills. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and what's the age range that you see that's really getting involved?
Well, and master gardeners tend to be older because a lot of them are like myself. They've retired, and most of them, I'd say the majority of them, have done gardening all their life. And even some people who used to farm. So the age, I would say the average age is over 50 for our membership.
Well,
However, our clients can be any age, and we do work a lot with college age students. There are a number of students like at UT and botany and other agricultural types of areas. And then we work with children through the
that's how it's
schools,
okay.
and in partnership with 4-H
Okay.
is one way that we work with the schools.
Well, that is awesome. I've always wondered what all took place. I have spoken before at different, here in Oklahoma, where I am with Oklahoma State University, at their Master Gardeners. It was an event many, many years ago. But I wanted to see, like, because you said interns, did you mean interns as far
Yes.
as just people from the community or
Yes.
those, how, okay.
Well, we call anyone who, and people have to apply to, because we want to, well, first of all, find out who they are and what their skills are, because everybody's skills get used for this activity.
Okay.
But we have them apply so that we can clarify to them that this is not just for you to learn how to grow your own tomatoes, but this is an organization where you are expected to volunteer to work in the community. And we have a variety of projects so that people can find something that meets their interest, but also their skill level. So when I first joined, and we call everyone who goes to the training an intern.
Okay.
So
Okay.
once they complete the training and pass the test, then they have an obligation to get so many volunteer service hours and so many continuing education hours to continue to be called a master gardener. And once they meet that level, they are a master gardener and not an intern anymore.
So
So
how many hours do they have to do as far as volunteering?
the first year, when they take the training, they have to get 40 volunteer hours working in one of our approved projects, one of the Knox County Master Gardener approved projects. After that, and then they have to get 8 additional, and they have a number of educational hours because they're going through the training at that point. But then they have to get 8 more continued education hours. And then after they are certified on a yearly basis, the requirement is 25 volunteer hours in approved projects and 8 continued education hours.
So this is a year-long program that
Yes.
you become certified.
Now the actual training is in January through March, April timeframe.
Okay.
So, and we are accepting applications now
Okay.
for that program, and the cost is $150
That's
to do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yes.
$150 to become a certified master gardener.
To take the training, to go through the training to be
Okay.
become a certified master gardener. Because once you're through the training and pass the test, you're still an intern until you finally meet the hour criteria. But yeah, it's not really that expensive, I don't think.
No, and if that's something if someone wants to do, that's something they could take that skill set. Just imagine if you get more people. I mean, how many people you can get as master gardeners to do these projects all over Knoxville or Tennessee, if you will, and then of course branch out nationally. How many people that would really help to be healthy, more healthier?
Yes.
We are really trying to drill down more and be more intentional on getting good food into underserved communities.
Yes. Yeah, that's the big issue here. There are a couple of food deserts, and we do have some community gardens and some church gardens that grow and donate food for that purpose.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And one of our projects even has gardens that they have targeted for immigrant populations to grow the types of foods that people
Ethnic foods.
eat. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that they
they're
eat,
ethnic foods.
that
That's
they grow.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, as far as I want to kind of go back into your psychology and your engineering or scientist studies. What was your focus? Because I like to, I'm always curious to know, like, I understand that you
Mm.
came out of that, retired, but what all did you do and what do you
Wow.
see that could be done different in America or the world, if you will, through your study?
Mm. Well, I was in the defense industry, and
Okay.
so I got to work on a lot of different types of materials. And so I did learn that, everything from where you get the material all the way through how you process a material makes a difference in the environment, but also the cost and the expense in the waste. I mean, there's just a lot that can be covered there.
Right.
But my main thing was to look at materials that are stored for a long time, which
Mhm.
I think you'll find, unfortunately, a lot of materials that are used in weapons and that type of things
Mhm.
don't get used; they get stored. And so I worked a lot on looking at material interactions, um, whether the material still functions over a period of time or does it degrade. And so a lot of my work looked at gas phase chemistry and that type of fun stuff.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah, but I did get to do a lot of different jobs at the plant where I worked. I worked in HR, I worked in assembly, I did research and development. I worked in maintenance. I was the plant energy manager for a while. So I got to walk around looking at air handling systems on roofs, that kind of thing.
hmm,
So for me, being an engineer was the fact that I did get to do a lot of different types of jobs and meet a lot of different people.
I bet. So this is federal government, I assume. Is
Yes, this is the yes Department of Energy.
okay. Okay. Awesome. Well,
Yes.
which is still intertwined back to agriculture because as you speak about the environment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as I listened to this morning on the CNN morning announcements, if you will, the news that global warming is such a big topic right
Hmm.
now. Um,
Right.
And it really, really bothers me when they really have not addressed the people, the everyday people, making sure
Hmm.
they understand their part. And I
Right.
guess
Right.
that's where I'm, as far as your
Hmm.
expertise in understanding the environment, what would you suggest that we do? As far as on the grassroots level, like where we work
Hmm.
in the communities, what type of pointers can you give us to assist with this global warming issue?
Hmm. Well, I would suggest that people start growing native plants. And
Okay.
so we have a big interest in that in the Knox County Master Gardeners. We have a native plant discussion group, you know, trying to find all the information and read about how these plants affect the environment, but also how to propagate these plants
Right.
so that rather than just going to the big box stores and buying what they have, try to find out the plants that are native in your area that grow automatically. And
Exactly.
we may call them weeds, but a lot of times they are there, they're serving a purpose. They are there and they're interacting with the wildlife, and the wildlife is interacting with them. And so you want
Which
to
helps
try,
us.
yeah. Well, you want to grow things that are compatible with your area, not try to. And that's what, big part of it is turf. People like grass. And so that's always an interesting thing to answer questions about. But it's very unnatural. So that's why it's so hard and so difficult to keep a beautiful lawn, because it's something you have to do things to make it work. So it's good if you could grow some native ground covers, instead of and it won't look as you won't think it looks as pretty, but after a while, you will appreciate it a little better, you know?
Can you give us like some plants, like give us some names of some plants? Because I see people now logging in to
Mhm.
actually help our environment. Like say, for instance, in Tennessee, what would be your native plant that you would plant to help your environment?
Well, see, actually, I'm in East Tennessee, and
Okay.
everything depends on your specific,
Region.
your biome, I guess you
Yeah.
call it your geography and your climate.
Mm-hmm.
So, in our area, I think oak trees are very useful, but we also are growing a lot of other things, and I'd have to look at the list of these plants to see their names, but for example, I think rutabakia. Um, let's see. Let's see. I have to go look at my
Oh
list.
no, you don't. That's fine. If you could
But
tell me
elderberry,
the elderberry, okay.
yeah, that's a good one. Um,
So this, I mean, where we're at right now, because I know that with people logging in, I think it would be like to contact your local Department of Agriculture to find
yes.
out what is your native plant, because that's where your experts are, or
Mhm.
your land grant universities who's doing the research on these
Right.
different plants and things that's in your area, because we're going to have to do something as a people here on earth, because we're
Mhm.
going to burn up. What I heard this morning, it's
Yeah.
constantly getting hotter and hotter because we have basically destroyed our earth, with all the
Yeah.
different things that we put in, from aerosols to,
Mhm.
smogs and smokes and all the toxins that go in from vehicles.
Right.
That's the reason we're so hot. I mean, yesterday it was 111 degrees here in Oklahoma. Uh,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oof.
and I mean that I got in my car and I was like, I had never seen my temperature gauge, or like thermometer, if you will. I guess that's what you call it. I don't know, thermostat
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
in my car. I've never seen triple
Wow.
digits like that.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I've seen 100, but I said 111 degrees. Um,
I
and then
don't even,
this morning,
can you breathe in 111
it's
degrees?
very hard. And
Yeah.
literally, what I did, I went and started my car and let it cool while, I came back in the office and, let it cool down, because I just, it would be hard for me to try to drive and function, because they said it
Mhm.
does do something to your mental state. It makes you
Yeah.
delirious. And of course, we've started trying to give out different type of kits, if you will, like with some
Okay.
Gatorade waters. And as you're talking about now, we're going to start trying to talk to them about native plants that you need to like
Mhm.
help us put in the grounds to try to keep the environment safe.
Yeah.
As far as what you were talking to, which brings us into the environment, do you work any at all with any USDA agencies?
Not, I don't know. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't, the extension may. I'm
Oh, of
sure the
course. Yeah,
extension does.
it does. Yeah. And then that's part of the reason we do the show. We're able to do the show because we are highly partnered with the USDA as a nonprofit. And I always tell
Okay.
people nonprofits and colleges are the organizations that or entities that actually
Mhm.
receive grant fundings to do this type of work, to get the word out to everyone about what's going on and to connect them back to USDA programs that will
Mhm.
assist them with their agriculture projects. That can be from growing
Okay.
plants to raising cattle to understanding the
Oh.
wildlife, as you spoke about. And I was so glad when you
Mhm.
started talking about the environment, with understanding
Mhm.
the ecosystem, how all that stuff
Right.
works together. Which the first agency that I would love for everyone to understand, you need to get your backyard, your farm, or wherever you're doing your agriculture
Mhm.
project registered at the Farm Service Agency. That's
Okay.
FSA. That's the first stop.
Let's see.
They will give
Okay.
you a free farm ID number. You
Hmm.
can't you can't participate in any of the programs if you don't have that farm ID. That's step
Oh,
number
okay.
one. And
Okay.
a lot of farmers or people who want to get into agriculture, they don't understand, like, well, they'll contact, well, Tammy, how do I get started? First stop, FSA. Every state in
Mhm.
America has a farm service agency. every state. I always tell people contact your state office because they can direct you to your county office. Whatever county you may be, or maybe they have a county that's next to your county. It may not be an agency in your county, but every state has a actual FSA agency. From there, you're able to also access or apply for different farm loans they have. Insurances, crop insurance, different, there are all type of programs that's right there in a Farm Service Agency, which is one of our partners. The second stop is Nrcs, and that relates back to what you were talking about, the environment. That's Natural Resource Conservation Services. Nrcs, they work with the environment. They help individual farmers as well, like FSA, where you're able to work with getting things to help the environment, the habitat, wildlife, what do you call those? Pollinator bees. They work with people that want to work with those type of environment enhancements. It's all to help conserve and take care of our land.
And we have a program called, and this is across the state of Tennessee, called Tennessee Smart Yards.
I love it.
And so the Master Gardeners are partnering with UT, where Tennessee Smart Yards is managed, to actually go and educate homeowners or garden clubs or churches or whatever group would like to know, what can I do to help the environment? And the Tennessee Smart Yards program gives individual steps that you can take with your soil, with pollinators, with your plants, with how you handle the water in your yard. And you can earn these points in order to become a certified Tennessee Smart Yard.
I love it. So Tennessee is doing that, or this an individual nonprofit, or what is it?
This is the University of Tennessee manages the Tennessee Smart Yards program. So I don't know if they have other ways of funding it, but every county has their waterways, and so this is really to protect the water, the groundwater.
That ties again to NRCS, because they also help with drip irrigation and things like that, and to assist with, what type of elements that are in the soil, which relates back. And I'm sure Tennessee University works very closely with NRCS with those programs. You guys have some great programs there and some great leadership there in Tennessee. We tried to get an FSA agent on, that they weren't able to participate on the talk show, because we try to bring them on and be there with you. But when I found out that you were a Master Gardener and you were connected to Tennessee University, I'm like, oh, she knows what's going on. This is really, really great information. And as far as the front yard, are we talking gardens? Or are we just talking grass, or just specifically things that are healthy for the environment?
Yeah, we're talking things that are healthy for the environment, and growing things that will help the wildlife. I mean, with all of the building, the construction that's going on around here, we're getting all kind of critters that show up because they don't have a home anymore. They don't have anywhere to be. And so it's difficult to manage that. I mean, now I have deer eating up my okra, so forget that,
they're just trying to come out and survive,
Yeah, I mean, they have to eat something, and so
we're intruding in their homes. That's what
we are.
Yeah, that's, I was just sitting here and think, and I'm so overjoyed with what the education you're bringing to the public, because again, people from all over the world literally look at these actual videos. We were going back because after we're finished, it's posted out there on YouTube. As we speak, they are able to actually come in live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, our social media platforms. And my hopes is that, people hear how important it is to take care of our environment, of course, eat healthy foods, because this is kind of off the grid, if you will, of what we usually talk about in our communities. And I go back to that because that's what our organization, our actual mission is to make sure we provide opportunities to underserved people that don't usually get the opportunity, however, to be a part of what we're doing here on Earth.
Well, there are Master Gardener programs across the country. I think in Tennessee, every county has an extension office, but I think there may be, and I don't remember in Tennessee, I think maybe 15 or 20 different Master Gardener clubs. I mean, just depending on where you are, there's one in Chattanooga, there's one in Nashville.
Do you see very many minorities participating?
Not in Knox County Master Gardeners, very few. But in Shelby County, where Memphis is, I can go on their website and see plenty of Master Gardeners of color. So that's one of our, we have a strategic plan. So one of our goals is to increase the diversity and outreach in our membership and also the families that we work with. So, and
that's really good.
Yeah, we're recruiting.
That's something that I don't think in our communities, minority communities, that people look at as a industry or a skill set that they think they need. And how our organization try to come through the children to start a little younger, because when people get a certain age, they're set in their ways, they know what they want to do in life, and they don't want to be bothered. So I think coming through the next generations, if you will, and finding some way to definitely, as you talked about, you all work with children. I think these new generation of people that are being born or, actually being raised, if we get into those blue minds and teach them that you have to take care of your earth. You have to take care, this is your home. And if you're not, it's going to disintegrate. And that's what's happening.
Yes. Well, we'll see. The 4-H, I mean, there's a lot of 4-H done in schools now. When I grew up, I thought of it as, oh, yeah, that's where they raise pigs or whatever. But they actually do a lot of leadership activities in 4-H. And so we work with them through the schools. And also UT Gardens offers a camp for children, several camps during the summer.
What's that called again? There at your camp, the camps for the children?
It's called youth camps at University of Tennessee Gardens.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know, because our organization is also trying to become a pilot program to 4-H and FFA for at-risk youth. We're working diligently and currently waiting on our hearing. The Congress Agriculture Committee is working diligently to get our hearing. And we definitely will call upon leaders like yourself that are educated and have the background to show that diversity needs to be there. I know that for our organization, primarily our different chapters set and target the children and underserved community, Title I schools, if you will. I've been to several across the country. Rarely, a lot of our children have not heard of this wonderful, wonderful programs, 4-H and FFA. When I say wonderful, that's the reason I want us to be a pilot program to that, to make sure all children have equal opportunities in agriculture, which is the most sustainable skill you could have in life.
Yes.
Period. And if they don't get this early, they go astray because they don't get the basic life skills of why they should be here. Our children are getting the skill of we need to make money, drive good cars, put on fancy clothes, and eat what we can when we can. Go out to eat fast foods. And that's just the lifestyle because it's fast. They see in our community that everybody is on a hustle constantly. Right. So they're not even aware of things that's going on around them in the air, like, how important trees are, how important, even if you throw certain things and, litter, that just the smallest little things that they just do not get those opportunities, let alone the scholarships that they're taught in junior high, that when you get to 9th and 12th grade, you need to make the grades and make sure you're in school every day because you won't be able to get a scholarship if you go to college. You want to get in the military now. if you don't have
Yeah.
proper, high school education.
Yeah, I'm in another organization that does do a college fair. We focus on HBCUs, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
Because there are a lot of college fairs that happen, but we try to focus on HBCUs so we can bring in graduates and also recruiters from those schools
Awesome.
to speak to the students so they could find out about this. And
Yeah,
we'll help them with the application process and the financial aid process.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
I am just that whole environmental, and you all, I'm getting ready to have Justina, my assistant, to go ahead and start putting in like how they can get in touch with you,
Okay.
as well as your website. Your you can go ahead and type that in.
And they need to know if they want to be a master gardener that this is across the country, and so I could provide a link to so people can find out about that, about becoming a master gardener.
Okay, is there a way you can put it in there right now? I don't know if you could type it in over there because you can see people on the side, and also you want to take a look and see if there are any questions. Do you see any, Justina, on the side?
Okay.
No questions. I see I can't see that far away. I see Anne from down in Florida, one of our chapter leaders who has a whole orchard, who works on our climate control piece through the orchard aspect of it with trees.
Yes.
Equestrian and all that. I see she's on, and she's very knowledgeable and helps us educate more on how we should take care of our environment as well.
Well, another thing we do is a program called Habitat Urban Gardens.
Oh.
And when people have homes built by Habitat for Humanity, some homeowners may have an interest in their landscape and learning how to manage their landscape. And for those homeowners, we will meet with them and we will do some basic gardening classes with them. We will go to their home and get a feel for what their landscape is like. And we have plants that we recommend, but also we find out what do they want to see in their yard. And then we actually shop with them and get the plants and have an installation day where we put in the landscaping and also some annual plantings. And now we follow up with them every few months, as the seasons change, to make sure that we put in the irrigation system for us. This is kind of new that we set up an irrigation system in their yard. And then they can call us or text us, if they have questions or issues. And so that's one of our favorite programs because you get the whole family involved.
Right, exactly. That's really neat. Well, I would actually encourage you all also to make sure you look into those USDA programs to assist you all to partner. I don't know, again, how you're up under the extensions umbrella. I'm sure your resources come through that way, but even with the different farmers, I'm so used to saying farmers, just the participants in the community, that'd be good for them to connect to those USDA programs as you talk. They can, the ones.
Yeah, you make a good point because there are a lot of jobs. I never would have known about all of the opportunities, but now that I kind of work with Extension, then I meet some of the students and the people who are interns in the Extension program and find out the programs they're in to learn how to grow and learn how to work with the community to prepare food.
Right, exactly.
They have all kinds of programs.
And those USDA programs, just going there, they will be amazed how much help that is there. And there's set aside money also for minorities. So they always want to ask about that. When I say minorities, that includes veterans as well. They have set aside fundings to assist, and where the competition is not as great for minorities and veterans to participate in those USDA programs. So, what are your words of encouragement in closing? I want to make sure that we get all our information in there. Okay, we have your information for people to get in touch with Dr. Smith. Let
me put my email address because that one won't get it.
Okay, you want to put it in right now?
Yeah, I'm putting it in right
Okay.
now.
So this would be great. I'm definitely going to be in contact with you all because I love to see women educate women. And not that, and I love to see women educate men as well, but I love to see us in leadership roles because we get it done. It's just a different, by nature, the only way I could put it, literally. That's
Yeah.
the way the Creator made us, that we are just nurturers and we educate with care. And when we're really passionate about what we do. Now,
Mhm.
that's just who we are. And I love that. And I will definitely be.
Most of the master gardeners I've met are, I would say, 80% women.
Yes. Why is that? I
Mm,
wonder. They just think, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it is. It is.
yeah.
I'm saying, well, I am just thankful again that you actually participated, but I want you to leave us with words of wisdom. And I don't want to take up too much more of your day because you have blessed me and you've blessed us. As you can see, people are chiming in and with this whole, it's just so timely. And I always just stop and pause and give thanks because he aligns everything so perfectly. Again, we're talking about the environment, and that's what's going on as we speak. And I didn't know today per se that that was going to be your concern or your main, you know, uh, topic of interest, if you will. Your interest, I didn't know that you were going to drill down into the environment and how important it is. And this morning, as I'm getting dressed, I'm hearing about global warming. So, again,
Yeah.
divine intervention when things are
Well, and speaking of that, we're working some with the Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light group, um, and they're a group that works with churches to look at how they use their landscapes
yeah.
and making sure that their landscapes are ecologically friendly
Mhm.
and helpful to the environment and reflect their mission. So,
Well, we're definitely going to adopt some of these wonderful programs. I know with our chapter leaders that are listening in, that educates them because we are 66 chapters nationwide now. I know. It's like we have been named the largest minority nonprofit agriculture group in the world. Because
wow.
we have 11 chapters over in Africa that women, again, we have a male leader, Mr. Opade, Emmanuel Opade. He is the leader over there, and we were over there, and children are right there with us. But what we have are our women farmers actually doing their projects on their farm, but we're going to move their projects into the schools over there. So
Mhm.
it's a win-win, and we're developing or creating more farmers. We're creating more food. So then start educating on international trade as well as international education. Like our children go over there, their children come over here. So our children will be exposed to different
Yes.
life and be leaders, true leaders, educated leaders like yourself.
Ah,
Because again, I love when I see an educated sister. It's nothing like it. And I always like to give you your flowers, and I give you all the pink flowers for your time. And in closing, can you give us words of wisdom?
well, my words of wisdom are keep trying, keep growing, keep trying. Even if one thing dies, you can bring something else to life. So, and just learn from that experience.
Amen. That is so true. I call
Yes.
them lesson lessons, a lesson lessons. uh, Again, I thank you again, Dr. Smith. I hope to one day meet you soon. I know that our chapter leader there in Knoxville speaks very highly of you, Miss Reverend
Miss Vivian.
Vivian Williams. That's my girl. She has a big
That's
birthday
Vivian.
coming up, and I'm just like, how can I get down there? Miss Williams, I should say the Reverend Dr. Williams,
Yes.
she is phenomenal. And her story is to be told, hopefully, one day, of how she started on this journey in agriculture. So, with that, I
Mm.
close. I thank all of you who actually have logged in here on YouTube that we see, the ones who are listening to us online. I hope we blessed you all some way to help your environment to be a better place, how important it is that we all work together to make the earth a better place for all of us.
It's Now, is it too late for me to tell you some of those native plants?
No, go ahead. We have time. I thought my thing was like I was on your time clock, and I'm like, I'm not trying to keep Dr. Smith all day. So yes, please tell us those native plants.
Well,
Yes.
I found a list of some that we are growing in Collier Preserve, which was land donated by a man who said he specifically wants native plants here. And so they partner with the master gardeners. And so we find that we are growing ferns, all different types of ferns,
Okay.
ostrich fern, marginal fern, sedges, and they look like grasses, but
Mhm.
you can find all types of colors. Coralberry,
Oh.
viburnum, red buckeye,
Hmm.
sweet shrub,
Sweet shrub.
red trillium, wild geranium, mayapple, columbine, blue mist flower.
And that's in your area. They're in
Yes,
Knoxville.
these are in East Tennessee, kind of in the mountains.
I know exactly where you're at. They took me in those mountains when I came down there before. It was very
Oh.
cold, but before it was very cold. So you all that are just getting in, so you understand that she was naming how you could help the environment by planting these native plants, and that those plants that she named was in her area. When I say her, Dr. Smith's area. You could also reach out to your extension agency at your
Yes.
universities in your area or your Department of Agriculture if you want to know how you could help our earth to be healthier and the environment to be healthy, wildlife, all the ecosystem, all of us working together. It's really important that we get these native plants in our areas, in our
And
yards.
you can call your local master gardeners as
Oh,
well.
of course. Well, that's the first part. Hopefully, the extension directive to you, your master gardeners in your area, like she said, and she is the
Yes.
president of the Knoxville, Tennessee Master Gardener Program. This is Dr. Smith.
Yes.
She has an extensive background. She's put her email address in the actual chat. And of course, you can see her also, her Master Gardener education platforms, and we hope that you all take advantage of the programs with Farm Service Agency of the USDA as well as NRCS. Again, these are programs to help you, and if you have problems connected to either of those programs, starting with your Master Gardeners, your USDA programs, we will help you. National Women in Agriculture, that's what our organization is about, is making sure we're bringing about a tangible difference to make sure everybody has equal opportunity in the wonderful industry of agriculture. And with that, you all, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, children, boys and girls, we are closing today's Women in Ag talk show. And as I always say, it's a great day in ag to make that bag. You all have a blessed day.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for coming. Thank you.